The relationship between your higher and lower self is extremely important, and this is where perfection becomes an infection. Your higher self is very aware about how deceptive the ego is, very keen and very sharp on how deceptive the ego is, because only the mind can be tricked. You can only be tricked through your five senses. If you are not careful, the ego will disguise itself as your higher self through this perfection. Through this form of perfection, the ego will indeed disguise itself as your higher self. So it's very important to have the visualization of a higher version of yourself and a lower vibrating version of yourself, and then to mix and master the relationship to where things are flowing. There is synergy between them both. The servant, the ego, is welcome to the master anytime. You serve a great master, a very merciful master. And rather than this master that we've been taught of a harsh master, a master who punishes. You serve a very merciful master. Your higher self is very merciful. This is why you are still alive. This is why you are still breathing. Because your soul is so powerful that it knows it has the ego figured out. It knows it has the ego mastered. You're only bringing your mind to bring the two to a meeting place. The philosopher is very powerful. Because he will use a visualization in order to get that message across. The message itself needs the messenger to feel the message on a high vibration so much that they have to reveal the message. They have to be so infected and interwoven in their soul with this message. This is soul expression, soul vibration. But that perfection is your infection, because it is projecting itself as a higher discipline, a way to your higher self, but it is actually blotting out your original soul projection. Perfection is the infection of your original soul projection. You get me? So the ego begins to rise and take another place of secret dominance. There is a panopticon theory to where the ego is, instead of having an outside governing entity in the open that you can see, the most powerful form of control is an unseen form or a deceptive form. So in this way, your ego is basically disguising itself as your higher self in the form of discipline, in the form of perfection. The philosopher will always give you a visualization in order to simplify the chaotic knowledge in the world today. Yes, he will always be loved. He will always be prized. Because in this way, he can offer the people a clean and clear visualization via words that simplifies something in their soul, that offers them relief. So we understand that the entire astral, the entire mental construct, the entire mental faculty is built and based off of visualizations. In the previous message, I stated that I was always in a believing and knowing that life was about perception. That's all that it's about. But before perception, there's visualizations. Before the visualizations are constructed, there is source. Knowing that life is lived on the astral plane. See, once you realize that, this is where relatability comes into. It's because you and the person you are viewing and perceiving are having the same visual constructs. You are having the same visual ideas. This is how you relate to somebody. See, you'll have so much more fun once you find this out. Playing in the astrals, entering people's subconscious mind. You know you can enter the collective conscious. This is what they call famous. They've actually just entered the collective conscious, and it's fun to examine the famous people in the astral world because you know that they've just entered the collective conscious, and then you can look at the reasons why. Famous quotes like, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? How many licks does it take to get to the core of your soul and find yourself? It's what it really meant. It was really heavy wisdom, so it resonated with the collective through a visual constructed by words. This is the power of the ability to articulate yourself. If a man can, or woman, can articulate themselves, then you can negotiate your position amongst men or women. So rather than a hierarchy of material dominance and physical dominance, as a collective, our dominance is coming from our intellect, from our ability to articulate. This is why growing yourself is so important. This is why not letting the perfection of the ego shroud out your original soul projection, your original soul light. This will clear up space in your soul, allowing your soul to vibrate. See, there's always this punishing master. I noticed I was working at an entity, at a job, a persecution, and there was a supervisor always looking like this, standing over you working. I did not like that guy. Yeah, we battled spiritually, and I won. I went in and changed the atmosphere. But all roads lead inward, so I looked inside of myself and said, there is the same thing inside of you. God spoke to me, I'm not kidding. There's the same thing inside of you. Always making sure you're perfect, always condemning yourself. Yeah, you are a great person, but your ego is disguising itself as your higher self. There you will endure pain. There you will endure suffering. As soon as you simplify your life, begin to realize the wants, just the things that you want, just the things that you're seeking, and the needs. This is how you will give your soul space to vibrate. You only need 4 things in life: food, water, shelter, and love. Yes, love is the greatest nutrient. I'm not sure if you can just live off of that alone, but hey, we are getting there. This coming to a simpler version of yourself is going to allow you to vibrate higher and not seek perfection and seek more discipline. Don't get caught up in a righteous plane. Rather get caught up in a plane of evolution. Because change is forced and evolution is natural. You get me? You don't need more focus. You don't need more force, You need more focus. So this ego perfection is blocking your soul projection. So in this case, it is considered an infection. Continue to keep your egoic mind under wraps, under subjection. Continue to breathe in your love and exhale that thing that is hovering over you, saying that you're not good enough, saying that you are not perfect. The moment for self-love is now. Being in touch with the mother, being in touch with green, divine, planting your feet in grass, getting sun on your body. It's all a form of self-love from mother, from the provider, from our original wants. our original needs, rather. It has nothing to do with these wants. So if your soul projection is 300 coconut trees and streams and freedom, and in these places of freedom, there must be structure. Listen, so the research is being done to where I know that people are going to need a leader. Now, there is time in developing in place now because people who are not searching themselves are falling out of places. The people will need a leader for not just a place to go camp and live in the woods and drink, smoke, and bring the matrix into nature, into the mother, but a place with structure and community that allows us to have freedom and live our life while doing the things that we're supposed to be doing. While killing that two birds with one stone. I'm getting my sunlight, I'm planting my food, I'm doing it for the community. So the day will come where we are figuring out alternate living situations, because homeless is a state that the Matrix has introduced. You'll see the gorilla laying on a tree, eating his greens, living outside, yet you don't call him homeless because the mother is providing for him. He knows that the mother is providing for him. Why is he laying on the tree? Because she doesn't ask more than he can provide. She just doesn't ask anything from him except for to eat and be merry and reproduce. So why in a society, why in a state would you come to believe that? How could it make sense that if I can't pay to be somewhere, to exist somewhere, then I am homeless, then I am an outcast, I am on the streets, I have much, much less. Lack and destitution. So this is a state that they have imputed onto us. I see a lot of videos. Might be homeless, just quit the matrix and this. Listen, I don't know where God is taking me with my life, in my place. I really don't know right now. Because change is happening. The dependence is shifting. But we have to realize that homeless is a state that they've implemented in society to say that this is the worst thing that happens if you don't participate. This is your punishment. So then it begins to siphon your energy more if you end up on the street. So we need to figure out ways to evaluate our life force energy. This is how you know you're becoming powerful, when your power is becoming channeled. See, if there is a leak or a spill in the oil, then it's still power, but it's uncontrolled power. Connecting to your life force. Seeing where your life force and your moments are being spent. In this time, in this realm. This is the part where evolution happens in your soul. That is natural. That is not forced. Some things that your soul visibility, your soul wants to be visible to your creations. Yes. But this idea of perfection and the ego will disguise itself as your higher self just to stop it from expressing itself in the form of a critic. Listen, the less that you need, you are there. Can you shit in a bucket? Can you go without showering for 3 days? Can you eat rice and beans? Can you just have this food and just have this little bit of thing? When you start getting to a place of that type of simplicity, then you know your soul is vibrating. There is a tribe that They would always go and try to take their land, always offer them any amount of money, I mean massive amounts of money, just to take over their land, but they never did. They never did, because they didn't need them for anything. So they always kept their homeland, never to be taken over or bought out or tempted with the illusion of higher self, with the illusion of a higher vision. This is how strong you will become. This is how stable you will be if you begin to work on your soul. If you begin to have these visualizations of the master and the servant inside of yourself, working in synergy. Except we have this vision of a dominant master, which is ultimately the ego showing up, disguising itself to shroud out our soul visibility, to shroud out our ability to express our soul vibration. Be that tribe that kept the land. Be that tribe that kept the land. Continue to stay in contact with these visualizations, because the entire mental construct is made up of visualizations. And playing in the astral is fun. Entering collective subconscious, it's not a need to be inside of people's minds. This is not why you're really wanting to be in the astral and live in the astral. It's because you realize that there are dimensions inside of you. You are a multi-dimensional being. And by multi, I mean thousands of dimensions, millions, infinite. So you will learn to love to play in the astral. You will learn to love to build these visualizations to harbor your soul and digest the chaos that's going on in the world. Digest the darkness. Be that tribe that kept the land. Who can stop the sun? Let me know.